All right. My name's Mookie or Mark, if you prefer, if you want to be
Cool.
formal.
Yeah.
We are the independent
Thank you.
88.5 FM public radio here in Southern California. It's a here at home artist interview, something that we've been doing since close to the beginning of the pandemic. It's easier to Zoom with artists rather than routing them to the radio station with a whole bunch of gear and all of that stuff, you know? So
Totally.
it's been a revolving door of some amazing artists in our Zoom rooms, and Cautious Clay is here with us today. How you doing?
Man, it's amazing to be here. I'm doing well. I actually just got to Saratoga Springs a little bit ago from New York. I'm actually filming a little um, acoustic songs from my upcoming album right now. So we're just kind of like preparing that, and yeah, it's been a pretty fun, hectic kind of day.
And then so far, it's been a 5 hour drive. You were saying, sort of off the
Yeah,
air, right?
yeah.
That's a haul. Is this going to be like virtual content that you're
Yeah,
doing
so
today?
it'll be virtual content for sure. I think it's something that I want to have as well as like a possibility for like an acoustic version of an album type of thing, where I can kind of like build it out in a way where it feels kind of like there's a lot to do, like a lot more that I can use from it, in a way. But like
Mhm.
I'd had in my mind like writing a lot of these songs just with guitar and vocal, because I like kind of, that's a lot of the ways that some of my productions will start. And then I
Mhm.
thought, oh, well, it would be a cool idea to just film it um, that way, and just with like my guitar player and one of my favorite directors. So yeah, it's
Nice.
been fun.
Well, it sounds like you've been a little innovative during these times. Obviously, nobody's playing a traditional show anytime soon, so people are sort of rethinking it and reinventing the wheel.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, that's been definitely kind of crazy. I mean, a lot of what we were doing last year was strictly shows and writing and things, but so it's definitely been an adjustment for me and my band.
Yeah. We've been playing the song Agreeable for a number of weeks now on the air here, getting some really good feedback from listeners in our inbox and on social media and stuff. From what I understand, that's going to be part of what we're calling a debut full length album, which should be available sometime next year, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. So it'll probably be in March at this point. But yeah, that'll be, I guess, if you, for the formality's sake, I guess a debut album, because
Yeah.
I guess Blood Type was sort of like an album, but people call it an EP, whatever. So I mean, it's cool. I'm excited. I think this is just something that will culminate in like just like my identity as an artist, and I'm definitely excited about it.
Yeah, so by our count, there's been like 3 EPs to date available to the general public right now. I don't even know if they're available or if you're keeping them close to the
Yeah,
hip. So are
no,
some,
they're all around.
what was that? What was that?
Yeah, they're all available. They're all around.
I love it. And some of those previously released songs, are they going to make it to the full length, or is it all new stuff?
Yeah, it's all new stuff. It's all new stuff. I've just been kind of growing, and I've had quite a few songs that I think I've even written in the last 3 years that were actually even before Blood Type, that I'm actually putting on this project. So it's cool that like I can sort of, I've been able to revisit, and I feel like this project is in a lot of ways like stuff that I feel like I've always wanted to make as an artist. And like
Yeah.
I think when I was a kid, I was really into like hip hop and rock and jazz and all these things, and I've always wanted to like make a project that I feel like embodies all of those differences in my musical taste. And that's always just been my dream, really, is to make something that feels like it speaks to me, but also, hopefully that it resonates with other people.
Right. I've been telling people a lot lately in these interviews that it's almost like looking at a piece of art in a museum. Is 100 people could look at the art on the wall and all come away with it, and each come away with a different understanding of the art piece, and that goes for music as well. You could have 100 people listening to one of your songs, and it certainly comes from the heart, from a songwriting standpoint, but a whole bunch of people could have a different interpretation of that. It's crazy and it's amazing,
Truly, truly. Yeah. I mean, I've had people say I sound like the 1975. I've had people tell me I sound like, like Khalid. So whatever. It's just like whatever people just have these different interpretations of music that you're kind of just creating from your own perspective. And I think it's, yeah, I
Yeah.
kind of relish in that idea that people are kind of like, yeah, I want to just be my own kind of thing.
It's amazing. So I'll try to keep this brief. I know you got stuff to do, but going back to your formative years, originally you're from where?
I'm originally from Cleveland, Ohio. And yeah, I grew up kind of like doing music, but it wasn't really like, it was more just of a hobby. And then
Mm.
I've sort of just kind of have blossomed into it as obviously as a career in my early 20s, and have since then just kind of been riding the wave. But yeah, Cleveland is where I'm from.
So you studied at George Washington University. I was reading international affairs. So you probably have a critical eye and interesting, I guess, outlook. You're just reading and seeing the news of the day. I feel like I'm talking to a Rhodes Scholar right now. Just as far as
Oh
you
man,
probably
yeah.
understand geopolitics a little bit more because of what you've learned over the years.
Yeah, it's kind of funny to see a lot of these like trends and like TikToks and things coming about where it's like people are talking about neoliberal economics and all of these things. And I feel like I was kind of like put in that position, like obviously as an artist, but I feel like I'm readily available to speak about it in a lot of ways, and definitely have my own opinions about where things are with politics. But I think that within a context of what I'm making, it also makes it that much easier for me to speak about it like in a more broad sense with how I'm making my music. For example, the song Agreeable, like in a lot of ways, it's like very much interpreted within like interpersonal relationships. But I think from a broader scope, it's like it's so much more difficult for people to even be able to agree on like things as basic as human rights. You know what I mean? And so like that to me was just such an poignant idea to write about and kind of bring about into like my medium of music, because it's like it is a part of my life. Like music is a part of my life, but also I did go to school for international affairs. So like I will have this like broader scope in my mind when I'm writing, and like it's just kind of hard to ignore. So
Yeah, I love that. I was going to ask you about the subject matter of the song Agreeable in particular. You already went there. And I appreciate that.
no
You're a
worries.
multi-instrumentalist, sort of self-taught or not?
Yeah, a little bit of a combination of both. Like I took lessons at the age of 7 in flute, like classical flute, and learned jazz flute. Kind of going through that whole period, and then I self-taught myself guitar and saxophone, and then the rest of the instruments as well, which are just like more just for production purposes, but obviously drums and a little bit of keys. And so, yeah, and I think language is, or music is similar to a language where it's like you learn one and then effectively you can kind of map out the rest of it for yourself, if you can understand how patterns work.
And
But
at one point, it just sort of clicked with you. I imagine it's a crazy thing about playing an instrument. You practice, and all of a sudden, one day, it's like, whoa! I could like jam with people and like
yeah,
write my own stuff. It's such an
exactly.
amazing feeling, you know.
It's a freeing feeling, and I think that a lot of people's, like, I guess, skittishness to try out music in this whole way is that like, oh well, I'm not going to be like the best musician in the world, and I feel like that is the biggest issue. I'm certainly and will never be the best guitar player or drummer or piano player or saxophone player for that matter, but I've always been open to trying things and risking ideas that I have, and putting them out there. And I think that that's really where I I like to shine, with my music, I guess.
Did you ever feel like it was difficult to share your music, especially like lyrically, with people? Because music can be so personal.
Definitely,
Even
definitely. I think
collaborating with
that's
other
probably,
artists too.
yeah, I've been doing that a lot as well, but I think definitely like the writing was certainly the last like kind of initial like growing point for me, because I'd been playing instruments and making beats and all these things throughout my teenage years and into my 20s, but then like when I started to really write, like it took a while for it to actually get good. I think like I wrote a lot of really bad songs, and so like it was just kind of like getting through that growth period and understanding, you know, poetry and sort of starting to interpret like writing from a direct perspective or a poetic perspective, and like how you can kind of work those ideas into your concepts and all of these things. And yeah, I guess I just really focused in on the writing. um and I love words. I think that was like a big thing. So like I've always said like I hate reading, but I love words. So like
Mm.
for me, I've always just kind of loved how how they can sort of explain very nuanced things in such a simple way. And I think that that was always my big interest with writing.
Right. And you could write something in a simple way, but there's also a lot of sort of interpreting and reading between the lines. So you could say so much in a simple way. Two more
Exactly.
questions. What is your relationship like with John Mayer?
Yeah. So me and John, like, I guess, I don't know. We just really clicked as soon as we met. He started following my Instagram, and I was obviously shocked. And so I followed him back, and I messaged him. And this was obviously almost 2 years ago now. But you know, we check in every other month or so. To be honest, like I'll send him some music, or he'll send me an idea. We'll just like go back and forth on references all the time, and I really do consider him like a friend, a good friend, and just like someone who, and a mentor, and someone who I can really, you know, text and ask questions, or he'll just like send me music that he's working on. And it's a really like interesting relationship, to be honest. But it still feels like there's like a lot, I think, that I'm learning about from him, and
Yeah.
also just a lot that we're discussing. But yeah,
Yeah.
it's cool, you know.
I went to an industry event a couple of years ago with him. It was like a really intimate thing, and he was just a really down to earth, like super cool guy.
He is.
You know,
He's
yeah.
seriously super wicked smart, and also just very like knows what's up, you know. And I think that that's partially why I don't feel weird texting him, you know, or like being like, hey, like this is something I was thinking about, you know, because I feel like we come from that similar perspective where we're really, really in the weeds with it, you know.
Yeah, yeah. I imagine
And
he
like,
probably loves the fact of, at this point in his career of kind of being a mentor to other
yeah,
artists, because he's been
totally.
there, done that.
Totally.
Yeah.
And it's really crazy because I think like I definitely loved his music growing up. Particularly his trio. I wasn't necessarily into like a lot of his popular stuff, but I didn't dislike it. It just wasn't like resonating with me as a kid. But it was interesting because like getting to know him, I was like, wow, like there's so much that like I understand now, you know, from
Mm,
like where he was coming from and how
that's
in
crazy.
in different projects that he was working on. And it's just interesting because like
Mm.
I feel like I came in from a different perspective, I think.
That's crazy, man. So you've collaborated with John Mayer a little bit, and you've got songwriting credits with artists like Taylor Swift and John Legend. How did that come to be? Were you working on some of your own stuff, and then people started to kind of seek you out as a songwriter too?
Yeah, so pretty much with the Taylor Swift thing, she had actually reached out to my team,
Mm,
and she wanted to work on like sampling a song of mine, which was Cold War. So that's kind of how it all came about with her. Um, and John Legend's team had actually just reached out. So that was kind of like what ended up happening there.
yeah,
But
right on.
yeah, yeah,
So there's you're getting a little airplay. The streaming is through the roof online right now. We're talking in the millions, which is amazing. I did
yeah,
want to ask you about people can't buy a ticket to a show, so I've been telling people to go online, buy the vinyl, get the merch if it is available, and on cautiousclay.com. You got the t-shirts, the hoodies, the beanies. Vinyl is available on your website right now. I love the t-shirt talking about the death of corporate clay, which
yeah,
is, I
yeah,
love
yeah.
that. You
Thank
know,
you.
is that talking about your
I
previous
used
life
to.
as just someone in the in the job world or whatever?
Yeah, well, I actually used to work in real estate. So like for the first 2 years out of college, I was basically just like doing real estate, with like different like renting homes and things like that and working in advertisement. So yeah. And then throughout that period was when I was actually writing my first music that would end up coming out. So
Yeah.
it was really a
That
process.
that's a great shirt. People could find it on
Yeah,
the website.
I know.
Uh,
I used to work at this company called CoStar, and that's basically where I got. It was just like my ID. So it
oh,
was
that's
kind of
oh really?
yeah, it was just my
Yeah,
ID straight up.
yeah,
I just
yeah.
my ID.
Another thing you got going on is Karma and Friends on your website right now, which is basically a Patreon account, from what I understand. So, what could people get, and how could people support that?
So yeah, if you want, you can obviously go to my website or my Patreon account, which is linked there, and it's just like I have some tutorials on there of how I created Cold War and um, also Joshua Tree and a song called French Riviera. So it's just a little bit of a more in-depth thing for people who are into production and songwriting and things like that.
Cool.
So I
Right on.
post videos there.
That's, I guess, patreon.com/cautious clay, or you could get it right through your website there. Um, Thanks for taking the time. Really appreciate it. You're a good talker and a personable person,
Thank you.
which is
Appreciate
great.
it. Yeah.
You never know with artists, sometimes it's like pulling teeth with questions, stuff.
Yeah,
I'm sure you can imagine.
I totally get it. I feel like I'm sort of just like used to talking about it a little bit, but also just trying to be who I am, I guess. I don't know.
How do you consume music yourself? Are you streaming? Are you playing vinyl at home? Are you listening to the radio or anything?
I mostly will use Spotify and SoundCloud. Those are my two modes of finding music now.
Yeah.
SoundCloud is harder now because of just how it's set up. But yeah, I like to do that, and then sometimes I'll do Bandcamp or just like ask some friends about like specific stuff, you know.
Yeah.
But it's
Right on.
yeah, pretty all over the place.
And I did want to ask you this. I guess in your formative years, what sort of hip hop artists were around that you were listening to that maybe had an impact on the musician you are today?
Yeah, I mean, I was when I was like maybe 8, I was a huge Busta Rhymes fan. I was, for whatever reason, I loved Busta Rhymes. Uh, and I guess DMX as well. Randomly, I was really into DMX. Um,
Did you
and
see the DMX Snoop Dogg battle
yeah.
that they did?
Oh man, I missed that. Everyone was talking about it, but I
Yeah,
totally missed it. I was like
yeah.
really upset
It
about it.
was fun.
Yeah, yeah, that sounds really fun. But those are like my two big, I think, hip hop artists. Like I guess when I was literally 8, 8 or
Yeah,
9. It's
yeah,
funny to think about like when you were that age, like that was like when you were listening to most tasteful stuff. It was either like the most tasteful or the least. Because I was like, while I was listening to Creed and R&B, Creed and Busta Rhymes, I was also like a huge Creed fan. Like I love Creed.
no kidding.
Yeah, I was huge into Creed
That's
when I was
pretty
a kid.
punk rock that you would agree to that, or
Oh
that,
yeah,
that you would express
like
that.
I mean, to be honest, like everybody has the like. It's just silly. Like everybody has like when everyone's like, oh, like I hate to say this, but I'm really into this. It's like, okay, well, no one has perfect taste. Number one, number two, it's like we got to listen to what we got to listen to. There's nothing wrong with that. It's like whatever. Just enjoy
Dude,
what
that's
you.
yeah, that's awesome. I mean, I tell people that I like Dave Matthews, and I
Oh, I know.
wear it as a badge of honor. It's cool.
I hear you. I hear you.
Cool, man. We'll let you go. Anything else to touch on for the general public who might not be familiar with Cautious Clay quite yet? I think we touched on some good stuff.
Yeah, no, I feel pretty good. I mean, I'm slowly cranking out this album, and I'm excited to share it with everybody. So yeah, and got some merch on my website, and can go check that out.
Awesome, man. So we'll be following you, and then the idea with these is we blast them out on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, 885fm.org. So once we slap the logo on it and create some graphics for socials, we'll let you know when this is published, and we'd appreciate a retweet or something if you don't mind.
Totally. Totally.
Cool. Next time, hopefully, we'll do it in person. And it's crazy to think that we'll even get to that point, but hopefully soon.
Yeah, I mean, we're all hoping. So, I'm hoping that we can all, go outside.
I know.
But we all have to agree to do some basic health things first, I guess. So
it's crazy, man. All right, thanks again. I'll let you go, and we'll talk to you real soon. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem, man. Thanks so much for having me.
You got it. Take care.
All right, bye-bye.
88.5 FM, KCSN, and KCSN HD1 Northridge, Los Angeles. KSBR and KSBR HD1 Mission Viejo. A service of California State University Northridge and Saddleback College. Member-supported public radio. Streaming on the web at 885fm.org.